This is Spunky
and Snarky,
and we say, welcome to the show.
Hello, welcome back again. It's a new year, 2021. I'm glad to be over 2020, although I still have freaking Christmas songs stuck in my head, which is driving me crazy.
Ditto.
I had to listen to them all month of December, and I'm still going around, Merry Christmas, and I'm like, fucking hey, Karen Carpenter, get off my ass. But we decided to kick off 2021 with a very special topic.
Very special indeed.
As we look at an episode of the quintessential 90s show, Saved by the Bell.
Probably the most famous episode of Saved by the Bell, I would say.
And talk about the very serious subject of caffeine addiction.
Today we're watching an episode of Saved by the Bell from Season 2, Episode 9, called Jessie's Song. Saved by the Bell aired on NBC for 4 seasons from 1989 to 1993, after being retooled from the Disney Channel series Good Morning, Miss Bliss. The show follows a group of high school friends and their principal, touching on lighthearted, comedic situations and occasional serious social issues.
So this episode of Saved by the Bell opens at their favorite hangout, the Max. I also want to mention the Saved by the Bell theme song is pretty iconic. I was digging it as I watched it back with the like, it's alright 'cause you're saved by the bell, and all the teal, green, and hot pink 90s colors, with the squiggly lines and zebra print. But Zach has to talk to the audience and break the fourth wall. And he's like, we got a geometry test, but I'm not worried about it because I'm just going to copy off some nerds. And he joins Jessie and Screech, and Jessie's at the table and she's like drinking some coffee and she's like, it's gross. And he's like, well, why are you drinking it then? She's like, I need to stay awake. I got this geometry test, and she's freaking out about it. And Slater shows up and is like, oh, you're not good at math because you're a girl. And it's like, shut the fuck up.
Yeah, Slater, I forgot how sexist he was.
Yeah. So she's freaking out about this geometry test because she's like, I have to pass because I need to get into Stanford. And Kelly and Lisa come over and they're like, oh, just listen to this tune and sing with us. And they're like, I'm so excited and I just can't hide it. No. Zach is like, you guys are so good. My dad's friend is a record producer, and you guys could totally be the, new kids on the block. The new chicks on the block, as Slater puts it. And he's like, yeah, you guys should record a demo. And they're like, no. Jesse's like, I don't got time. I got so much stuff to do. He's like, but you'll make a fortune, and offers to take them to the studio.
And be their manager.
Of course, because he needs a cut.
Later in geometry class, the teacher hands back their graded quizzes and Jessie freaks out because she got a C.
A C?
And tells the girls that she'll never get into Stanford. They calm her down and Slater offers to help her study, which she agrees to. Zach tells Screech to get his recorder ready because he's going to send him into the girls' locker room to record their singing. So, in the locker room, Jessie is still trying to study, and the girls assure her that she'll do fine. Kelly's like, the test isn't even until Friday, so you still have plenty of time to study. Screech enters dressed as a cleaning woman, and kind of just eavesdrops on their conversation for a bit. Jessie says that she's really depressed about not getting geometry. Screech says in a bad Irish accent that, whenever I'm depressed, I just sing a song. That was not my Irish accent, by the way. Kelly says, that's a great idea, let's have some fun. Jessie says, who are you? And Screech says, Sinead O'Connor. Kelly gets her boombox and the girls start to sing again. Then we cut to later that night where Jessie and Slater are studying at Jessie's house when Zach comes in through the window. Zach says that his dad's record producer friend loved the tape of the girls singing and wants to play it for his boss. Jessie's like, what tape? And Zach's like, the one of you singing in the locker room. And she's like, we didn't record any tape. And Zach then explains about Sinead O'Connor. And Jessie is pissed because they violated their privacy. but changes her tune after Zach says the producer thought you were the best. And she's like, oh, really? He tells her not to tell Lisa or Kelly so they don't get jealous. Zach leaves and Jessie and Slater try to get back to studying, but Slater says that he's tired because they've been studying for the past 4 hours. Jessie's like, here, try some of this Keep Awake. He asks, what is this for? She says she needs them to stay awake to study. They're just like coffee, but don't taste as bad. Slater reads the label and says that they're a lot stronger than coffee and maybe habit forming. Jessie says that they're harmless and that they sell them over the counter. He says that doesn't make them safe and that she shouldn't be taking them. Jessie says, maybe you're right. And Slater says goodnight and starts to leave when Jessie says, thank you for helping me, and gives him a kiss. He leaves and Jessie sits at her desk to continue studying and takes a pill.
So back at the Max, Jessie's eating with the principal, Mr. Belding, and she's going on about how she cannot flunk geometry. Mr. Belding's like, don't worry, I'll give you a letter of recommendation. If you don't get into Stanford, there's other colleges. You'll be okay. He's like, there's even a college that Zach could get into. And then she has this like dream montage where she goes and it's like a surf school. It's kind of funny. And then she's like, no, what am I going to do? So later at school, Zach tells the girls that the record company loved their tape and that there's some other girl groups who are kind of in the running though.
They have pretty funny names.
Yeah, they're like Spiked Earlobes and the Zip Machine.
And Buns on the Run.
And their name is Hot Sunday. He's like, well, we just got to make a music video and submit it. And then you guys have it in. And Jessie's like, when am I going to have time to make a music video? And she's like, whatever. And she pops another caffeine pill as soon as the others have left. So then we cut to Hot Sunday's debut video of Go For It. It's like them running around. And they have those like horrible early 90s leotards that have the shorts, but then still have like the different color
bikini bottom.
Yeah. And then they're like trampolining off things and like doing some intense choreography. And then of course they have to have like the 80s like close up face overlay and dramatic effects like that and all that stuff.
The song though, it's kind of catchy and I dig it.
After that, they're like, the producer loves the video, but they want to see you guys perform it live. So they're going to come to the Max the next day. So we're going to rehearse tonight. And Jessie's like, I can't rehearse tonight. Like the geometry test is tomorrow. Like I need to study. And Kelly is like, it won't take that long. You'll be okay. You're ready. And so Jessie was like, okay, and goes to rehearsal. So Slater asks Jessie right after if he can borrow a pen. And she's like, yeah, just go in my backpack. And that's where Slater finds her pills. He's like, didn't you get rid of these? And she's like, mind your business.
Pretty much.
She's like, I need them to stay awake and study, okay? Slater's like, no, it's not okay. Like, I'm worried about you. You know, you shouldn't be taking these pills. She's like, it doesn't concern you, and like storms off.
So the next day, Jessie's in class talking to Kelly and Lisa and saying she's ready for the test. And she's super like freaking hyper. She's like, yeah, I'm gonna ace this. And
she's like amped up.
And she's like rattling off math problems. Like, I got this. And Kelly and Lisa are like, what the hell? But the bell rings for class before they can ask her about it. Jessie rushes through her test and is the first to finish and hands it to the teacher. Mr. Dewey asks if she wants to check it over before she hands it. And she's like, no, I aced it. I know it. The bell rings and the rest of the class leave when Slater stops Zach to chat. Zach's like, make it quick because I gotta go to the girls' rehearsal. And Slater tells him about Jessie's problem with drugs. And Zach gets defensive and it's just like, she's too smart to get hooked on drugs and kind of is like dismissive about the whole thing.
And he's like, she's my friend and I won't let you talk bad about her.
So later at the Max, Hot Sunday rehearse and sing I'm So Excited. And Jessie's still hella hyperactive and overexcited about everything. Zach tells Screech to make sure that the producer sits in the front. He tells Lisa to bring the costumes and says that he'll pick Jessie up for the show at 7 p.m. So later that night at Jessie's house, Jessie's asleep when Zach knocks on the door to pick her up. He goes in her room and wakes her up and she she says that she has to take her geometry test. And Zach's like, what? You already took the test. He says it's 6:30 and they gotta go. She's like, where are we going? Zach says she's singing tonight. She runs into her closet. It's like, I have nothing to wear. Like, starting to freak out. Zach says, remember, Lisa is bringing her costume. She then says that she has to wash her hair. And Zach's like, there isn't time. And she just, like, starts to freak out so much. She's like, there's no time. There's never any time. I don't have time to study. I'll never get into Stanford. I'll let everybody down. I'm so confused. And Zach's like, calm down. It's okay. Like, it's just like taken aback. She's like, you're right. Everything will be okay. I just need one of these pills. And gets her pill bottle from the drawer. And Zach's like, pills? You mean you really are taking drugs? And like smacks them out of her hand. She says, I need them. I have to sing. Zach says, you can't sing tonight. She says, yes, I can. I'm so excited. I'm so excited. I'm so scared. And like breaks down crying. Zach tells Jessie not to be scared and then they'll get her through this.
They like hug. I swear I can see Zach like smiling as they're hugging.
He's
like,
probably
he's
trying
probably
not to laugh.
Cracking up. Yeah, while they were filming this.
So we cut back to the Max for Hot Sunday's performance with Screech lip syncing to Jessie's part. Later, the gang are all at Jessie's house in her bedroom, and Jessie apologizes for letting them all down, even though she really did. Zach says not to worry about that. The important thing is that she gets better. She says that it's her own fault, as she's always taking on too much. And then Kelly says that they didn't help by putting pressure on her to sing. Slater arrives and brings Jessie flowers. She apologizes for being mean to him, but he says that's what he likes about her. Zach apologizes to Slater for not listening to him about Jessie, and Jessie says she has a real problem and that her mom is taking her to get counseling. She says she has to learn that it's okay if she's not the best at everything, and Zach says he's already learned that every time he gets a report card full of C's. They all laugh, and that's the end. So thoughts on the episode?
Having not watched Saved by the Bell in a really long time, like, I forgot, like, how it was, you know?
Yeah, me too.
Granted, we watched the one without commercials, so it was, like, really fast. But it kind of goes from, like, one thing to another.
Yeah, there's also dream sequences and montages and stuff like that.
Yeah. This one was a little over the top, obviously, because when Jessie was, like, on her speed or whatever.
Apparently, producers really wanted her to be on, but then the network said, no, this is a Saturday morning kids show. We're not having actual drugs, so she can get hooked on caffeine pills. But everyone remembers it for being over the top, so I guess it did its job. I bet you all those kids were never hooked on caffeine pills ever again. Except on 80s and 90s TV shows. We have a whole list of caffeine pill related episodes that we'll probably talk about in the future.
And it's funny because she's like the smartest one in the group, yet she's the one having the like problem.
I think they do that though because they want to show anyone can get addicted to drugs. They did that same thing in the British show Grange Hill where it was like a normal kid got addicted to heroin, or it wasn't like the bad kid, or it wasn't like
the goth or the weird looking kid who's going through their own shit.
I watched a lot of Saved by the Bell growing up and I always liked the show. I mean, yeah, it's a little cheesy, but it was the 80s and 90s.
But it had a lot of fun, you know, quick back and forth humor, and Screech with his antics and always having to do crazy shit.
Yeah. I watched the first episode of the new Saved by the Bell, and it was a little too much. It was trying to, like, correct everything that they deemed wrong with the original series. It made me feel like I was being punished for watching the original, which I didn't like.
Oh, really?
I mean, that's just how I felt, because it was, like, so over the top with the social commentary. And it's like, we get it. Like, you can add that, but it doesn't have to be like, hitting you on the head. That's what I mean. Because this show did have social commentary, obviously. I mean, it might have been a little bit more subtle because it was on Saturday mornings at the time. So they were kind of, like, sneaking it in. Whereas, like, this new one is, like, all social commentary all the time, pretty much. At least from the first episode. I didn't watch the rest. So you ready to move on to the brain basement?
Oh, let's go.
Alright, welcome to the Brain Basement. We're going to talk a little bit more about Saved by the Bell and other things. So, Saved by the Bell was always on Saturday mornings, but I usually watched it after school at like 5 o'clock after the cartoons. So I've watched a lot of this growing up.
Me too. And I remember the TV movie pretty well, where Kelly and Zach get married and they don't have any money, so Slater and Screech have to become male escorts.
I remember the movie and I know I saw it, but I don't remember any of the details.
Because they're like going to elope or something, and then I think their family shows up at the end and decides to support them.
When I was in middle school, my first babysitting job was babysitting for my aunt's friend's daughter, and she was obsessed with Saved by the Bell. I remember she's like, can we play Barbies? And I was like, yeah. She's like, can we play Saved by the Bell? Like, Zach and Kelly. She was obsessed with, like, the whole Zach and Kelly love triangle. And I was like, all right. I'm not one to turn down playing Barbies, because I played with Barbies till I was, like, 12.
I just wanted to take a minute to talk about, like, the fashion in this, because these leotards were so over the top. And in, like, the second sequence when they're performing at the Max and they're, like, rehearsing, like, Jessie has, like, a flower print bra top leotard with the, like, longer pants. And, like, I mean, I remember, like, everyone had those leotards in the 90s.
Like the Jane Fonda workout, all that stuff.
Yeah, pretty much. When I was in elementary school, we used to have, like, an aerobic instructor, like, come in.
Yes.
And, like, she'd make us, like, do shit, and she would always have, like, the fancy-ass leotards. And I remember one time in, like, first grade or something, like, I finally got my fancy leotard to wear to, like, the little aerobic class, and I thought I was so freaking fancy. I thought I was the shit because I brought my special leotard to wear. Probably, like, had it on under my stirrup pants or some shit like that.
Yeah. I remember those aerobics classes when we were in elementary school, because that's how I heard the today's hits, because, like, when we were kids, all we would listen to at home was oldies. That's why we play a lot of oldies on our music spotlights, because we grew up listening to that.
Yeah.
So, I think that's how I found out about, like, New Kids on the Block and Salt and Peppa and stuff like that. It wasn't even that song, but yes, Push It. It was their cover of the Beatles' Twist and Shout, I remember hearing at the aerobics class. But yeah, that's kind of a funny memory I totally had forgotten about until you mentioned it. I also wanted to kind of touch on Good Morning Miss Bliss, which was the show that became Saved by the Bell, which was originally on the Disney Channel back when you had to pay for it. And I remember watching it sometimes when we had the free preview weekend. Mm-hmm. And Miss Bliss was played by Haley Mills, who was in the original Parent Trap as the twins. And she was in a bunch of other Disney movies as well. And it had, like, Zach and Lisa and Screech that carried over to Saved by the Bell in it. Oh, I think Mr. Belding was on Good Morning Miss Bliss as well. And that show only lasted a season before they moved it to NBC. I remember watching that and then seeing Saved by the Bell. I was like, oh, those are the same kids.
I think we need some music in our life.
Alright, see you in the music spotlight. Alright, welcome to the music spotlight, where today's topic is pressure song. And first on the list is Billy Joel, Pressure. Do-do-do-do-do-do-do, pressure. That's a good jam. You know, we love Billy Joel. We talked about him. It's like our
Billy Joel
bucket list concert that we need to go to. Yeah, this is another one of his great songs.
Billy Joel rocks.
Number 2 on the list is The Selector, which is a ska group from the UK with Too Much Pressure. This is a fun song. I love some two-tone ska, and this is a good female-led group, and it's awesome.
Number 3, we got a hit with Michael Jackson and Janet Jackson. Scream! Stop pressuring me! Stop pressuring me! Stop pressuring me! Makes me want to scream!
This was a big deal when it came out, I remember, because this is the first time you had both Michael and Janet on a song, and, like, blew everyone's mind.
And I remember back in the day, it was, like, the most expensive video ever, because they broke a bunch of shit.
Yeah.
In the making of the video. It's a jam.
Yes. Number 4 is one of my favorites again, which is Spandau Ballet with chant number 1, parentheses, I don't need this pressure on. 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 Do-do-do-do-do-do-do. I love this song. It's very, like, jazzy and funky. And I love Spandau Ballet. They're, like, one of my favorites. I was lucky enough to see them back in 2015 before Tony left.
Oh. Well, moving on to number 5, which, of course, we had to put this on the list. Queen and David Bowie with Under Pressure. Do-do-do-do-do. Do-do-do-do-do-do. Make sure you don't add that little in there.
Vanilla Ice will sue you.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, he totally ripped this song off.
We got Queen and David Bowie. What's not to like?
2 of the best of all time.
For real. And lastly, we had to add an honorable mention. No one probably knows the song, but it's a song that I crack up to all the time. It's a K-pop song by a member of this group, Beast, back in the day. They've since broken up. His name is Joseph, and it's called Caffeine. You're so bad to me, so bad to me, so bad just like a caffeine. Yeah, I did not make up those lyrics. Those are the actual lyrics. And considering today's topic, we thought it was appropriate.
Yeah, I remember you and our friend used to make fun of the song all the time.
He performed this at some soccer event, and everyone was just like, what the fuck is this? And he was even like, I don't want to be here, but I gotta be performing this. It's like the worst thing ever. I mean, caffeine really was so bad to Jessie.
Yeah. Quincy tore up a caffeine pill store. So that's a whole nother story for another episode.
Yep. So I think we'll leave it at that.
Alright, that's it for Music Spotlight. If you want to check out these songs in full, you can check them out on our website.
Thanks for joining us again in 2021.
We made it through 2020.
It's been a rough year. Somehow we'll get through this pandemic. Hopefully by next summer things will be looking up. And if you had a caffeine addiction, we're really sorry and hope you get help. Alright, well, we'll see you in a couple weeks for another very special episode.
Also involving drugs, but a different kind of drug.
We'll just leave it at that.
Alright, so if you want to drop us a line, you can email us at spunkyandsnarkyshow@gmail.com. You can check us out on our website, which is spunkyandsnarkyshow.wordpress.com. You can leave us a voicemail on our Anchor page, which is anchor.fm/spunkyandsnarkyshow. Or you can reach us on the Twitters, Facebooks, and Instagrams, and the TikTok that I started to reach the kids because we're old. And I don't know, I just figured I'd try it out. Anyways, have a good one. We'll see you next time.
Peace.
Bye.